Okay. Hello. Okay. Thank you, ma'am. David McClure, the founder of 500 Startups, a venture capital company, once said that startup is a company that is confused about three things. One, what its product is. Two, who its customers are. And three, how to make money. Namaskar Kolkata, I'm Sparsh Gupta, and today I'll be presenting my paper on the topic Startups in India under Knowledge Session 2, Role of CA in a 5 trillion economy. Shri Hardeep Singh Puri, the Minister of Petroleum and Natural Gas for India, recently said that India will be a USD $5 trillion economy by the year 2024-25 and a USD $10 trillion economy by the year 2030-31. After various analysis, it was estimated that a huge amount of contribution would be coming from the new and budding businesses that we nowadays call startup. So the question that comes up now is, what is a startup? A startup is basically any business that primarily satisfies two conditions. First, that the business is in the first 10 years of its inception and the business does not cross the turnover of rupees 100 crores in any of these 10 financial years. What is the story of startup in India so far? What was that one thing that ignited the spark of startup in India? I would like to ask my audience about this, that what was that one thing that started the revolution of startup in India? A hint for you all, it was a web series released back in 2015 and was produced by the production house TVF. Any guesses? TVF Pictures, you guessed just right. And now where do we stand? Where has it all led that was started by Pictures? A hint here as well, it's a television show recently started on Sony Television. You guessed it right, Shark Tank India, where new and budding business persons come to established business people in order to raise funds in exchange of equity. The revolution of startup in India. So now kind of we know that Pictures was the one that introduced the idea of startup in India. But what was that one thing that made it such a big revolution that today I have come all the way from Ghaziabad to talk about startup for only 8 minutes? Well, since 2014, there is this one guy who comes up at our TV screens at 8 p.m. and goes like, Mitron, aaj ratri 12 baje se, you guessed it right, it's our Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi, who launched the scheme of Startup India in 2016, and since then, there has been no turning back for the startup regime in India. These are all the schemes that were kind of introduced after Startup India came into effect, and we'll be discussing this further in our presentation. So there is a very celebrated term in the startup world known as unicorn. A unicorn is a startup that crosses the valuation of $1 billion. Some noticeable startups that recently crossed this valuation of India are Cred. Cred is always known for its innovative marketing strategies. It provides you reward points for every credit card payment made through their app. You all will be surprised to know that 20% of all credit card payments made in the year 2020-21 were through Cred. Other noticeable startups are Grow, PalmEasy, and BharatPe. Now, some startups were so unique in their idea and they executed so well that they went on to become listed companies in today's world. Few examples are Nykaa. On Nykaa's listing day, the founder, Falguni Nayyar's net worth crossed that of Rakesh Jhunjhunwala. We all know who that is and what he is capable of. Other example would be Zomato. Who thought that a mere change from ordering food through calling to ordering food through an app could make one a billionaire? But guess what? It happened. The founder of Zomato, Dipendra Goyal, has a valuation of $6.7 billion. Other noticeable startups are Paytm and PolicyBazaar.com that recently got listed. So now we have answered the what and when of startup. We'll be answering the why. To answer that in a single sentence, I would say that the future belongs to job creators and not job seekers. And to elaborate this point further, I have a very short video for you all.
You are making $500,000 and you are only going to pay me 30?
You're getting 30 grand? I'm getting 1,000.
You guys are getting paid?
I hope I have made my point very clear through that video. Another answer to the why of startup would be the government schemes. Schemes such as Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana provide loan up to rupees 10 lakh to micro and small enterprises, including the startups as well. Schemes such as Credit Guarantee Trust Fund scheme that provide collateral-free loan to all micro and small enterprises sector, including startup. The Startup India Seed Fund, which was recently launched and provides funds or loans before proof of concept has been established. The 80 IAC tax exemption, where any recognized startup is declared tax-free for the first 3 consecutive financial years. Now, what is the role of a chartered accountant in all this? How can a CA bring value to the startup regime? Well, there are 2 ways that a CA can be involved in a startup. First, in his capacity as a CA in practice, or in his capacity as a founder or a stakeholder like Aman Gupta. So what's in the room for capacity as a CA in practice? Well, the routine work that we all carry nowadays in our offices during our articleship is the tax specialization work, the finance professional, the secretarial matters, compliance checkup, and to cater all the benefits that startup scheme will bring to a new company. What's in the house for capacity as a founder or a stakeholder? So when Vinayak Bhanwani approached his idea of a startup to his CA, Mr. Jinendra Bhandari, he was so thrilled that he made him an offer he couldn't refuse. His idea was that of a live bus tracking app, and today that app is known as Chalo.com, in which Mr. Bhandari is an invested partner. The question that comes up now is, why are CAs investing in startups or building their own startups nowadays, and why are companies hiring CA as their top management official? Well, the answer to this is very simple. It's a win-win for all situation, as the startup or the business gets holistic advice that a CA brings to the company, and obviously, you can all imagine the fame, the recognition that a CA gets once the startup is successful, and obviously the paycheck as well. The third most important point would be delegation of authority. We all must have seen big corporate houses, big listed companies hiring chartered accountants as their CFO, the Chief Financial Officer. Now, why is that? Because of the finance knowledge that we inherit nowadays. Few examples of this delegation of authority point can be CA Samir Seksaria, the CFO at TCS, and CA Vikas Garg, the CFO at Paytm. Now, what's the conclusion that we have drawn in our presentation till now? See, the role of a CA and the role of a startup is crucial for the achievement of the $5 trillion mark, and it is India's best bet as to achieve this feat on target time. Startups are basically businesses, and no other profession in this world generates as much cash flow and as much job opportunities as a business does. Hence, CA have always proved to be very good in their finance knowledge, and hence the idea of startup, the idea of CA, and the idea of business, they all go hand in hand. Dhanyavad Kolkata. That was all from my side. Thank you for being such a lovely audience. Thank you.
Thank you, Sparsh. He has enlightened us that startups are more important for CAs.